This conference will now be recorded.
Not have any amendments.
Not that I know of. I know we found one later on. For now, no.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Review the minutes from May 19th, regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the May 19th regular council meeting minutes.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Accounts payable, Tina.
Just a few to note. So 77408, that was for the cold storage building that's getting erected here in the next couple of weeks. And 77436, that is quite a bit of engineering, mostly Jefferson and the water looping project. That's the ones that are out of the normal. So I would make a motion to approve the accounts payable for June 2nd in the amount of $166,863.19.
Any questions for Tina?
I'll second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Thanks, Tina.
Mhm.
Public comments portion. Individuals may address the city council about any item concerns. Speakers must state their name and limit their remarks to 5 minutes. Excuse me. Generally, the city council will not take official action on these items, but may refer the matter to staff for further report. Any public comments?
Yes, Wayne Radke asked to speak to the council tonight.
Please, thank you. Wayne Radke, and my particular concern tonight is to a couple things in regard to the planned advancements or expansions to the campground at Covered Bridge Park. Let's see, where's my timekeeper?
Right here.
How much?
4 minutes and 45 seconds right now.
Okay. I'm an ex-preacher, so it's so tough to stay down here a little bit. But I've had several conversations with the neighbors, have attended a couple of meetings of the park board, and in my own dealing with the issue have come up to two things. And reading Dave Grimswood's articles in the local paper, I've come up with three things that reflect my concerns. And number one is all related to the fact that I think it's a tax-related issue, and it's one where the city council needs to hold the camp board to some accountability. And I base it on three particular issues. And one is that the initial action is to create 13 new camper sites, and that will be funded by tax dollars once collected. And in doing that, I don't think it's a good idea to spend tax money to do destructive action to the ecology. And the place at which they're going to place the 13 sites, in my experience, has been sod, great grass, for no less than 20 years, because I've walked it. And in the process of doing that, they're going to rip that up, put in the sites, put in the roads, and then underneath they do all the wires to get all the hookups. So all the campsites will be all hooked up. So you have the major surface damage and then the damage underground. And so you have the initial cost of doing that. Plus it's damage that never goes away. It's simply there forever, unless you really go in and tear it all up because you have the roads and everything there. So severe damage to a site. And then my second one is another tax issue, and one raised by Dave Grimsrud in one of the articles that he wrote in the paper, and wondering whether this is an example of a city getting into a business that should be the business of private enterprise. Because here the city has the advantage of having the land available, probably some ways to sneak by a few taxes. So if a private individual were to come in, they would have to absorb all of those expenses before they would be able to establish a camping business in the town of Zumbrota. And I don't think, my personal opinion is that is not what a city is to do and not a good use of my tax money for that kind of a deal. And then my third major disagreement is that if I as a taxpayer am paying for the installation, the beginning of the campground, I pay some taxes to that effort. So then when I get ready to use and want to enjoy that amenity or whatever you call it, I certainly would expect to pay the user fee. But in this case, not only doing that, I would have to supply all the adequate camping material. So in a sense, I end up being taxed almost twice. And I think there needs to be some way to measure the interest of the population of the city of Zumbrota as to, is there a percentage of people in this town who would want to do that? In a sense, get a double tax to set up a camping setup down in the park. I think that's a misuse of tax money and a burden placed upon the taxpayers in a secondary way, which I do not support. So those are my three main reasons. And I go back to two stories, and many of you may or may not have been here. One was when we're on full bore to create a exercise center in the city of Zumbrota. And there's a great plan, and it was going to self-support itself and self-finance itself. And the city came along, or they asked the city to take over the management, and the city said no. Yes. Time up. I have one more story. Thank you for that. And the other one was, I've been the long-term chairman of the Covered Bridge Task Force. And that task force was started by money taken from, funded by the Zumbrota Trust. And so we got together 10 people to lead that, and we got all steamed up, and we were really fired up. And we had all kinds of programs. And so we thought we'd better tell the city council what we thought of doing. And in those programs, we went back and contacted all the former people of the former Covered Bridge Society, tried to revive all that interest, bring back some support. And as we went up and said, we better tell the city council, and we finished up with our Sterling report, and there was a great bit of silence. And finally, Bill Everhart spoke up and he asked us one question: are you going to be expecting any money from the city? We appreciate that very much, because the city was not committing any more of their funds to support the kind of activities we were carrying out. And I relate that same way to the campground. I think if the campground should be able to stand entirely on its own, be established on its own, without any support of any kind from the city. Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne. Thanks for your concerns. Any questions, Council? Concerns? Any other public comments portions? I will close the public comment portion, and we will jump to new business 8A. I believe Alyssa from Smith is going to give us a little presentation.
Yes. Hello. Thanks for giving me a few minutes on your agenda tonight. It's nice to come and meet with the council. Usually I'm early morning with the
Right.
EDA, even though you guys changed your meeting time now. But I just want to come and say thank you so much for your support. You guys have been supporting SMIF for many years, and we're very appreciative. So everything I talk about today is only possible because of our partnership. And I just want to give you an update on what we're doing. Are you all, I know, familiar faces, but are you all familiar with SMIF? Or should I give a little bit of an update overview?
A little bit of an update, because usually the news record isn't in our EDA meetings when you present
Okay,
this. So I
great.
think it's helpful that they know what the Southeast Minnesota Initiative Fund
Yes,
is.
sounds great. Okay, so Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, SMIF for short. We are a nonprofit organization. We cover 20 counties in South Central and Southeastern Minnesota. And our goal is to keep all of our communities strong and vibrant. We do that through three main areas of focus. We assist entrepreneurs or economic development. We support early childhood efforts, and we have a general community vitality area. So our hope is by focusing our time and energy on these three areas, we can help all of our communities move forward. So I'll go into each of those areas and just give you an update on what we've been doing around here recently and just some things you might want to be aware of that you could hopefully utilize some more of our resources. So starting with economic development, that's our largest area of focus. First and foremost, we are actually a lender, so we're a gap financer. We like to work in partnership with other organizations. One of the great things about partnering with SMIF on a loan is we can take on a riskier portion of the lending portfolio than a traditional financial institution. But then also, we're able to provide one-on-one technical assistance. So for, you guys probably know, 8 out of 10 businesses typically fail in their first 2 years. When we're a part of a loan package, our track record is 9 out of 10 are succeeding. So we really do accredit that to the fact that we're able to tweak and modify our resources to help the entrepreneur with whatever they may need assistance with. We have done a couple recent loans actually in Zumbrota in the last year and a half, so it's very exciting. But do please just keep us in mind if you hear of somebody who needs some additional assistance. We also are a grant maker in this area. Oh, and I should mention, so we have these three main areas of focus, but we're in a pandemic, so we're doing other things as well to help out. One of those is we're provided actually 85 $10,000 grants to businesses in Goodhue County. 12 of those businesses are in Zumbrota, and that is just $10,000 to help out with whatever they may have needed to get through that time. We actually just finished another round, so we're up to over $20 million invested in pandemic relief in the past few years now. So we do that, but then we also do grant making in the area of economic development. So this is something that you guys could consider. We'll have another grant round opening up here next spring. And an example is Pine Island recently received a grant in partnership with Stewartville. And what they're doing is creating resources for local businesses focused on bookkeeping. They found that that was really an area that their entrepreneurs needed additional support in. So they received, I think it was just over $6,000. You can get up to $20,000 in this grant pool, but just keep that in mind if you have any of those ideas. And we're always willing to just talk through if you guys have something you're thinking you need help with, but you don't know if it's quite a fit, we're just a phone call away. So that's sort of a very quick overview of our economic development efforts. Early childhood. So the reason we focus on this is because we want to make sure all of our kiddos are ready to learn when entering kindergarten. If they're not ready to learn by grade 3 or at level by grade 3, it's really hard to catch up, and we want every kid to have a chance to be a successful member of our society. Right now, another big challenge is we're in the middle of a nationwide childcare shortage, meaning kids don't have a place to go for care right now. Parents are having to decide, do they stay home with their kid or are they going to be driving to a different town to drop their kid off at a daycare, drive back to town to work, back over there to pick their kiddo up. It's quite the challenge right now. So what we're doing to try to help this is we are providing free training. Some are virtual, some are in person. They're all develop approved, meaning they can get those continuing education credits to stay in the field. We actually had 62 providers from Goodhue County attend our sessions in our last round. So there's definitely a huge need here, but this is also something, it's transforming every year. So we're trying to be creative on how we address this. The other thing I want to make sure you guys are aware of is we have a consultant. His name is Jeff Andrews. He will work with any provider who has questions about anything from licensing to their business plan to curriculum. He is just an expert in this field, unlike any other I've ever met. But he also will work at the city level. He's worked with communities to address their shortage issues, and he's actually worked at the county level with Musore County to actually provide help with the shortage issues that they have countywide. So that is free of charge again. I will send you guys his contact information, but he's a wonderful resource. So please do take advantage if you know somebody who could utilize that. Then our last area of support is community vitality. This is largely focused on our affiliate fund program, which is like we're the fiscal host of community foundations, donor advised funds, things like that. You guys have your own local community foundation, so I'll skip that portion. But we also have a paint program in this area. So the county, the Goodhue County Fairgrounds always receives paint to help renovate some buildings. And then also, most importantly, right now, our small town grant program is open. So that's a grant of up to $10,000 for communities in population of 10,000 and under. And honestly, it's really about what are the projects that you guys have kind of had on the shelf for a while, collecting dust, that you just need a little extra financing to move forward? How can you get the community engaged? Some examples, Mapleton last round did a fall kickoff in their community. They had games for children to play, music, some free food, and they had all of their sort of service providers in the community there so people could learn about the resources that are around. Eagle Lake actually applied for summer programming, sport programming for kids because they actually don't have a local school district, so there's nothing for kids to do in the summer at Eagle Lake. So this is very wide and varied what we have funded through this program. I believe the grant round closes on June 23rd, so it's coming up, but I hope you guys apply for something. It's a pretty easy grant application, and we have $200,000 to give out, so we'd love to see some of that money come here. Okay, that was my very fast overview of what we do. Do you guys have any questions for me? Once I get on a roll, I just keep going, so.
I think one of the things it was interesting last year when you presented, maybe it wasn't all the way last year, I don't know, whenever you were with us, BDA last time, really around models in other communities of coming together in a center for daycare where they're not necessarily, they're individualized daycare under one roof. And I just thought that was, one of those ways to really rethink how we've kind of always done things as times change, resources change, opportunities change. That was, to me, one of those really interesting models that's happening. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't know if there was a follow-up to that, how's that going under that model?
That's happened in a couple of communities. So that is Jeff Andrews' work, the consultant that we have. The most recent is in Waseca, which I think was not done when I presented to you guys last time, but like you, I'm not remembering exactly when. So basically
You say Waseca?
Waseca, yes. So basically the model is to limit overhead costs, but also for mental health of childcare providers who could be stuck in their home all the time, renting space with other childcare providers in a building. I believe legally there can only be 4 childcare providers in a space at one time. But the idea is that can also utilize an empty building currently that is in your community. That was what Waseca did. They had it's the Brown Printing Building. So it's a big warehouse that they renovated to make it applicable for 4 different childcare providers to go in there and utilize that space. So they're cutting down on all of their overhead costs. They aren't having any issues with licensing. It's a simpler licensing process from what I understand. And again, mental health, they're able to be outside of their home and still do the same profession. So we have seen a lot of success with that in the region so far. Other models are, I'm sure you guys are aware of, actually pairing a senior living home with a child care center. Do you guys have one of those here?
Working on it.
You work, oh, perfect, yes, perfect. So those have also been very successful. But one thing that Jeff always stresses is every community is so unique. So you really have to look at what is your current gap, what is your shortage that you have. Maybe a center isn't the best. Typically a center isn't the best unless it's paired with another organization because they're just so hard to run. But so it's really exciting that you guys are working on one in partnership with an assisted living place. Yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge, and you can always it's just a link and you can put a meeting on his calendar and he can just talk through any concerns you guys have about childcare. So it's pretty cool.
You're doing that, yes.
So and also, and then the only other thing I will comment on is I noticed on the front cover was Beth Feinbold, who just purchased a building in Zumbrota to expand this business that she has started. And, you know,
That's
thanks
awesome.
to Smith for funding her venture. You know, she's
Yeah,
doing really good things. So it's pretty
amazing.
cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think last time I talked to her, she was still looking for space. I didn't realize she was coming here.
On a nice
amazing.
space, just a little, I don't know if that's outside of town, inside of town, it's just on the edge,
Sounds great.
in town.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to think somebody from Shark Tank is in our small communities here. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And really the seed money that Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation gave her is what got that start to be able to get her on Shark Tank and move forward. So it's pretty,
She's
Very cool.
she's very generous with us. She is a great partner, that's for sure.
Perfect.
So, yes. If there's nothing else, I just want to, again, thank you to the EDA for your support. We hope you guys will continue. And again, do keep an eye out. We did just create this current opportunity sheet, so please do look that over. But the small town grant round, Jeff's information, I'll email you links to all of that.
Perfect.
And if you guys think of anything else, but don't ever hesitate to reach out.
All right. You can leave, and we can just keep them in the office too, because people always appreciate information. So thank you. Appreciate you coming to
Thank you
our
very much.
meeting.
Yeah, all right, bye.
8B, Tom Thompson, notice for termination of contract. Brian.
Yep, we've got a letter in your packet from Tom Thompson. He's been our building inspector for a lot of years. He's been winding down for a number of years and decided that it was time to turn it over and retire. He'll be involved a little bit still on some of the bigger school type projects, things like that. But for the most part, he is stepping away. So we just need a motion to accept his termination of the agreement.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0.
And
Thanks.
just a big thank you to Tom for all the years of service to Zumbrota. I think it's gone very well.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian. Building, 8C, Building Inspection Service Agreement with SE Building Inspections. Brian.
Yep, we've got Roger and Casey Paul here. They've been working for Tom for a number of years. They've been doing most of the inspections. And they have put together the same agreement that we had with Tom, proposing that. And so as the staff, we'd like to make a smooth transition over to Roger and Casey, with their company, SEBI, Southeast Building Inspections. Again, it'll be a seamless transition. They've been doing the plan reviews, the inspections, all of that stuff.
I can afford no holdups, so.
That's right, yes, so we will, just looking for a motion, a second to move forward with Roger and Casey as our new building inspectors. Nothing's gonna change, basically, so.
I will make that motion. I'll second that.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Do we want them to give a speech or anything?
Let's hear it. We just look forward to carrying on what Tom did. We enjoy working with people. One thing that's different about what we do versus typical, what I've experienced in the past with inspections, because I used to do the construction end of things as well. We love to come in and teach people so that it's not just about here's the code, but there's a reason behind it. And that hopefully it creates a culture where people will call us. We have that happen right now from other jurisdictions. They'll call, why do we do this? And we give them answers for that because they don't get that where they're currently at. It's something that Tom was doing a little bit with me. I think it's very valuable. I love to teach people and encourage them that way. So we look forward to doing that. We've just recently done some stuff with a business that's looking at Zumbrota and how to functionally get into a building and make it work out. So we've talked with them a little bit about what we can. We can't technically design and building inspectors. That's something we're supposed to stay away from, but we can help navigate if we're asked to go down certain roads and help people out through different things.
Great.
Thank you. 8D, set a work session to discuss capital improvements. Brian?
Yep, staff is working through our whole capital improvement list. We're gonna wrap that up here sometime this month. And I had put some dates on there that could work for work sessions. I know a lot of times you wanna try and go on a council night. And, no, Tina? Or- You-
I mean, that's not, when I started on council, we never had them on
They're
council nights.
always
That's only been
opposite. So
in
either way,
recent
I just
years.
threw out some dates
It's
that would
easy.
work on there, even out till July 7th, if you wanted to go on a council night would work, a little more time. We're gonna get together as a staff, finish everything off. It's gonna be in a nice spreadsheet, so everything's understandable. We've been talking to Ehlers and they give us the spreadsheet format that they use, so we're gonna use that to put all of our projects in there. But somewhere between the staff and then meeting with the council, I need to sit down with Bill, our city engineer, to talk about some of those type of projects and numbers and all of that stuff. Usually your city engineer is involved with that. So I'll squeeze that in there somewhere before we meet with the council so we can answer any of those questions, specific questions on projects that you might have.
Any ideas? What would work for you?
What
I
time
prefer not to do it on a council because it just could make it a long night. I mean, 2 hours before, you have an hour, hour and a half council because something comes up.
What
But
time on Monday, the 13th, would we be looking at?
I'm here all day, so.
Wide open, one meeting.
13th work for you?
If we can do it early enough, I got fire training 6:30. We can do
4 to 6 on the 13th. That work for you, Tina?
But that's Sarah's day off, so she might not want to come to a meeting.
Or we could do Wednesday, the 22nd.
After 4,
4 to 6, would that work for you? 4:30 to 6:30?
4:30.
Yeah, that would actually work better. That would get a little more time to get together with Bill too.
Bob, does that work for you on the 22nd? Sarah? 22nd, 4:30 to 6:30? Chris?
He's out.
I will be back by then.
He's not gonna care anymore.
8 days before it's over.
So we'll do this 22nd, 4:30 to 6:30 to discuss capital improvements. Perfect. Sounds good. 8E, pavers for covered bridge area. Mike?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
All right, good call.
Thanks, Kim. I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes 5-0-0. Pavers for covered bridge area. Mike?
I have 3 quotes. We're gonna take out the blacktop that's in front of each end of the bridge. And replace it with 3 quotes, one from Elite Hardscapes from Zagoda for $33,220. Second one was from Sunbrook Valley Landscaping for $38,304, and then Countryside Landscape for $25,175. And they're gonna also move try to get that monument moved so it's more in line. It's part of the fees. And it's just time, we got a pretty good lift going into the bridge on one end. With the pavers, I think it'd be easier for us if they do leave, we can put them back in place, you know, that's probably the best option, plus I think it's still looking nice.
Yep, we've got a couple of individuals in wheelchairs that we see quite often go across there, and that's a big lip when they jump up on it, boom, so. And moving the monument next to the other one, having them in line together, we would extend the pavers over there so people don't have to walk in the grass or the mud or dirt to read the plaques. We've got trail money. It's not park, because the trails, even though they're in the park, are on their own, so we've got trail money for that, so.
When is this available to start?
It'll be this summer.
Okay.
I'm just questioning the pavers for wheelchairs.
Yeah, so it'll be, the pavers are not, that picture I put on there is a little bit more bumpy than it would be, they're gonna, yeah. This is what the bidders recommended, were these pavers. We had kind of asked. So it'll be, just like any other pavers, I suppose it'll be a little bumpy going across there, but they're not gonna be jumping up a big lip like that. And it'll be, like Mike said, we can shift and move them and pieces of them. We're gonna have to take those, the fence out of there and replace that at some point. It'll be much easier to do that with pavers. We could look at smoother pavers, but I think it really would look like an old a cobblestone road, yeah, leading up like it theoretically was at some point, so.
I just wanted to question it.
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Like, if it's gonna be hard for them to get over there, what's the point of it?
Yeah, well, that's
Wouldn't
like,
it be better to do like a stamped concrete or something like that?
Well,
That's
and-
smoother, but
yeah.
I'm just asking.
No, that was a good question. I was thinking that when I was talking about the wheelchairs, because it will be a little bit, bumpy for them, but it's a smoother bumpy than it is now. How's that?
Okay.
You want a motion?
I'll make that motion to approve the pavers for $25,175 with Thermal Landscaping, or with Countryside. Excuse me.
A question. So, other trail dollars, do we have on the list for some of the trails to be resurfaced?
Yeah, we're gonna get a quote on how much trail we can do with the trail money we have available
Okay.
left. We'll have 160 left, something like that. So yeah, Mike is gonna look into that,
So
at
some
least
places are
at least
getting
along the river here, because there's some low spots.
Perfect.
See how much we can get done with the dollars that we've got and when we can get that done. We don't want to do where we don't want to do the road or where the trail crosses the road at the end, because theoretically we're going to repair that trestle at some point, and we're going to be bringing heavy equipment both directions. So, but yeah, we're looking to get as much trail resurfaced as we can, as soon as we can with the other dollars.
Perfect. Then I'll second that motion.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Mike. 8F, new carpet for city office. Brian.
Yes, you guys approved furniture and the new arrangements in there to make some room for an additional seat a person. And in moving the furniture, during the capital planning, actually, we got talking about flooring in both sides. The police side is terrible. City Hall side is terrible too. And we thought, well, when the furniture is out of this office, maybe we can put carpet squares back in there at that time, so we don't have to move the furniture again in whenever we decide to do the flooring throughout City Hall side. So just requesting approval for carpet in that office soon. As soon as the furniture is coming in, we'll coordinate and get carpet put in there before the furniture goes in. Then we won't have to move the furniture again. Then we still have some dollars.
Okay.
Okay, let the grief begin. We're gonna carpet the administrator's office.
Yeah. New chair, new furniture, new carpet.
Tina's
I could see you wanted to say it, Tina.
No, I don't. I have no concerns about that. My question comes because I still think we need the second smaller workspace, but with the CETA transition and additional person and not here full time, well, do we need all that?
Yes, well, good to have that second space set up for when our safety person is here. He had always used that. We'll have a new one. It'll be he or she, whoever the new one is, will sit there when they're here.
So it'll basically be a drop-in desk. I mean, these guys can use it if they needed it for, perfect. Okay, so the space will still function.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm good.
I will make a motion to approve the new carpet in the city administrator's office.
Who's vacuuming your new carpet? Who's vacuuming your new carpet?
Well, Dylan was doing our vacuuming, so I suppose I'm gonna have to vacuum. Yes.
I'll second it.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thanks, Brian.
I'm abstaining.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Can I get some input on that quick?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's a little bit on contracting with council members. Need an abstention, rest of the council's approved by unanimous vote, which is done. And there's this, we can probably do this at the next meeting, there needs to be a resolution setting for essential facts, nature of the officer's interest, and that you determine that the contract price is as low as could be found elsewhere. And then Bob would have to also file an affidavit kind of stating the same thing. So assuming all that is no problem, we'll probably do that at the next meeting.
Bob asked me about that earlier and
No, you can differ.
no, I agree completely with you. But, so we will do that. This was a small one and the rush on it because the furniture is coming. Yeah, we really don't have a local carpet person other than Priggy. So, when we can do the big one for all the flooring, that's definitely we'll go, so.
So it passes 4-0-1, and then we'll get the affidavit and stuff prior to other council and stuff like that. Perfect. Thanks, Matt. Reports, Brian.
Yes, Jefferson, we had a pre-construction meeting this morning. The schedule is dependent on getting the storm structures, the catch basin, things like that. Their shop drawings are done, they're ordered, they're in line. Schumacher has been trying to get priority on certain structures so they can start, they're gonna start at First Street down by the Benson's corner there and then work north. And so they've asked for a priority on the structures from 1st to 5th as soon as they can get them, and they're waiting for a date on that. And then as they go, it'll just depend on when the structures are ready. They're not gonna tear the road up if they're not gonna have the structures, because then it's just gonna sit there. Right now, we don't have a solid start date, because we're waiting for that date. If we get that date back quickly, they could start as early as middle of July. Or if it's not back that soon, it could be the middle of August. We're just not sure yet, so. But kickoff meeting went well. Everything's a go, everything's ready. They've got the notice to proceed, so we're good.
They don't want to tear up the road until they have.
And if they're not gonna get structures for how many months, they don't wanna tear it up and let it sit and inconvenience everybody for those months that they wouldn't have to. And then once they're doing the construction, within the contract, they could do 2 phases. It's 1st to 5th and then 5th to Mayo Clinic, I think. Or no, 1st to 5th and 5th to, I think it's 5th, I think it is 5th to Mayo Clinic is the next phase. So they could, under the contract, tear both those sections up right away if they wanted to, but they're kind of, again, we'll see what the scheduling is on the structures and how they're gonna do that. They'll yet to be decided. But
It's not a road that needs to sit like the county.
no, that was
Statute?
concrete road, and they choose to do that, let it sit for a year and
Okay.
settle, and Mike may be able to answer more of that, the reasoning behind that, but,
Perfect.
so.
Awesome. Good.
So,
Thank you.
yep, and then Dylan, our community development director, our contract with CETA, he's gonna be moving out of the 5-day position and taking the 2-day position for Zumbrota. He'll be around the rest of June to handle the EDA meetings, planning and zoning and all of that stuff. We're looking to transition another CETA person into the 5-day position as soon as possible. We're working on that right now. I've asked Dylan to be part of the interview team for that because he knows Zumbrota so well, and he basically revamped the community development department, which is what I asked him to do. He did a great job. So I want him involved in the transition, and then he'll still be available for 2 days remotely, and sometimes he'll be in the office here in that extra desk, to help out as well. So he is not here tonight, but he's actually at a conference learning about some EDA stuff, so that'll benefit Zumbrota as well. I think that's all I've got.
Matt?
James, do I have anything? Your report is usually the same as the libraries. Okay, no
Okay.
report.
James, do you have anything?
No report.
Chief?
Not a whole lot to add. The police department did receive a grant donation from the United Redeemer Trust to be utilized toward any particular equipment or training needs. And we just want to give them a thank you for that donation. That is all.
Perfect. Thanks, Chief. Kim?
Okay, tonight.
Mike? I got two quick things. I just want to give a shout out to the VFW for the memorial program on Memorial Day, which went very well. They always put on a good program. I was presiding for that. And also I want to give a shout out to the block party going on tonight till 9 o'clock if you want to stop and support our local businesses. That's all I have. Sarah? Tina?
I do know, and if you haven't or want to, I don't know how many people know that Joe Bigelow passed away last weekend. So he was a large developer in Zumbrota, and his son Joel will continue, or Tony will continue with its development out here. But I think that's a pretty big loss to that family and development in southeast Minnesota. So Brian did send flowers on behalf of us in the city. And so just a reminder because the city can't pay for those, that he's taken up a donation. So if you are able to contribute to that, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Bob? Meeting adjourned.